Ah, yes, Matrix City in the glorious country of Mitochondria. I'm here today to tell you the story about the day that everything changed in this beautiful, bustling little town. Our story begins at Thompson Creek's Community College, where an aspiring young chemist and his two most trusted were working in their biochemical techniques lab. Meet young Connor Johnson. Connor was left with the most important job of mixing the two reactants in this very, very important experiment. There was only one small problem, however. Connor didn't print his lab manual and didn't know which of the two chemicals to mix. After some careful thinking, it came to Connor. Red and yellow are like ketchup and mustard, so those must be the right reactants. So Connor mixed his two reactants together as his good friend Aiden and Nico came to check on him. Until suddenly, it would appear as if Connor mixed the wrong reactants. The three friends agreed to never talk about this ever again, in fear of what their lab instructor Natasha would have to say about it. Instead of working on his lab report, Connor decided to watch TV later that night.
This is Sam Ubiquinone here with live coverage of the protest taking place near the inner membrane border in Matrix City, Mitochondria tonight. Angry pyruvates of the United States of Cytoplasmerica are gathered here. The motives are unknown. Oh, here's one right here. Sir, why are you gathered here tonight?
We are too overcrowded and will fall right into the lactic acid trap if we don't go back to the land that we deserve. This land belongs to the Cytoplasmericans, not the Matacanadians.
Connor couldn't watch anymore. He was absolutely terrified of the pyruvates of Cytoplasmerica invading. He didn't dwell on those thoughts long, however, as he got a sudden and strange craving for spinach. How peculiar. That'll come in handy later. The next day, Connor met Aiden and Nico at the bus stop. He told them about his strange vitamin B-enriched cravings from the night before. Strangely enough, Aiden and Nico also had strange food cravings. Nico craved acidic and energy-rich foods and drinks, and Aiden craved fatty and sulfur-enriched foods. Even before the three could dwell on why that was, they heard their bus coming. So they thought. What could those people have possibly been running from? The three friends then noticed something down the street getting closer and closer and closer and... Oh, it's just some pyruvates. Wait, oh my god, the pyruvates have invaded Mitochondria! Connor immediately took the lead and told his friends to follow him to safety. The three friends safely retreated down an alleyway until suddenly, their safety was no more. The pyruvates had found them, and when they turned to run, they noticed they were blocked on both sides. The three friends had accepted their fate. Right as the pyruvate went after Connor, suddenly, he was transformed? It was at this moment that it clicked on Connor what exactly Natasha's life work was and what he did in the lab that day. Connor had achieved the power of an enzyme, but not just any enzyme, the long sought after and mythical within the scientific community of mitochondria pyruvate dehydrogenase enzyme, and Natasha had made it in her lab. But how exactly did this work? Let's find out. This is Connor's pyruvate dehydrogenase active site. Everything you see here will help in some way to convert pyruvate into hydroxyethylthiamine pyrophosphate. First and foremost, it's a good thing Connor ate that vitamin B or thiamine-rich spinach, because thiamine pyrophosphate is a key coenzyme in this reaction. Magnesium at this active site stabilizes the phosphate groups of the thiamine pyrophosphate. Glutamate 59B acts as an acid/base in the activation of the thiamine pyrophosphate. Histidine 128B and histidine 271C act as proton acceptors and donors for the intermediates. Arginine 267C and tyrosine 281C help stabilize the reactive intermediates with hydrogen bonding. Let's begin this reaction. A lone pair of electrons on the glutamate 59B attack a hydrogen on the thiamine pyrophosphate, leading to a double bond rearrangement, which is key in the formation of the carbanion, which will attack the pyruvate. The rearranged and carbanionic version of thiamine pyrophosphate is how you will find the thiamine pyrophosphate in the active site in nature. When an evil pyruvate arrives in the active site of the pyruvate dehydrogenase, the carbanion is going to nucleophilically attack the carbonyl carbon of the evil pyruvate, forming a carbon-carbon bond. Next, the oxanion formed as a result of this reaction is going to attack the histidine 271C and deprotonate it. If you're wondering why the other oxanion doesn't deprotonate the histidine 271C, this is because it is resonance stabilized at the carboxylate site. Decarboxylation then occurs, releasing CO2 from the pyruvate. At this point, the work of Connor and pyruvate dehydrogenase is basically complete with this formation of hydroxyethylthiamine pyrophosphate. However, as with any enzymatic reaction, we must regenerate the coenzyme thiamine pyrophosphate. It's a good thing that Aiden ate those fatty and sulfur-rich foods, as she will provide lipoamide to this reaction. The carbanion of the hydroxyethyl TPP is going to nucleophilically attack the sulfur of the lipoamide, in which the other sulfur is going to initiate a deprotonation of histidine 128B. Histidine 271C is going to deprotonate the hydroxyl group in an elimination reaction which will restore the carbanionic form of the thiamine diphosphate. In doing this, the acetyl group that was on the thiamine pyrophosphate has now been transferred to the lipoamide, which Aiden will use in her own enzymatic reactions to produce acetyl coenzyme A. After the newly formed acyl lipoate leaves, the carbanion of thiamine pyrophosphate is going to deprotonate a nearby nitrogen atom, thus initiating a series of double bond rearrangements that will regenerate the thiamine pyrophosphate coenzyme back to its original form. And in a final step, water is deprotonated to reform the hydrogen on the histidine 128C. And that is how Connor's pyruvate dehydrogenase takes out those nasty pyruvates. Now let's cut back and see how the three friends are doing. Connor beats the pyruvates into hydroxyethyl TPP, Aiden beats them into acetyl coenzyme A, and Nico helps by regenerating the proton carriers. And after doing this for a number of hours, they successfully deterred the pyruvate invasion. After cleaning up the streets of those nasty pyruvates with their newfound powers, the three best friends were heroes of Matrix City. The only problem left now was what to do with all this acetyl coenzyme A. An idea came to Connor. Connor realized that the real hero of the day was Natasha, as if she never made that magical chemical formula that turned them into enzymes after Connor negligently mixed the chemicals, none of this would have ever been prevented. So Connor proposed the greatest idea to Natasha: an acetyl coenzyme A conversion plant. And this conversion plant will be used to power mitochondria and all of Matrix City by converting acetyl coenzyme A into a novel new energy source, adenosine triphosphate. To do this, Natasha proposed a cyclic reaction mechanism that the power plant would use, which she aptly and concisely named Natasha's fantastically unpredictable, almost incomprehensibly overwhelming, hyperdimensional, semi-permeable, quantum, wibbly-wobbly, fabulously glitter-infused, technicolor dream machine of astonishing, never-ending tricarboxylic acid cycle. However, Connor spilt a beaker on it, only leaving the tricarboxylic acid cycle. So in the end, Natasha almost completely forgave Connor and got a factory and the recognition that she deserved. And all pyruvates coming into mitochondria were turned into acetyl coenzyme A and then sent to this factory for processing for their transgressions against this great country. With this newfound form of energy and the removal of the pyruvates, the problems had been solved. Aiden, Nico, and Connor would serve and protect mitochondria as the pyruvate dehydrogenase complex, a series of three most important enzymes in ATP production. The end.